Morning. So we're off to sunny Walsall today, which is where we work. We've got quite a bit on this week, so there's a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. The first thing is today that we're running a round table in Walsall at the HomeServe office. It's the second time we've done it. We've got some great attendees, so we're looking forward to getting some interesting insights into people's plans for GDPR from there. And the second thing is a little bit of a surprise, because we're off down to London tonight for a special event, so I'm not going to tell you about that yet, but I will tell you about that later on. So it'll be more of 2 days in the life of a data protection officer today rather than one, but we're looking forward to sharing with you, and I hope you enjoy it. I feel like I could make a massive blog just about this round table, but I'll try and keep it succinct, and if there's anything in particular from these discussions that you think would be interesting, let me know, and I'll expand on them in another session. Control of process of relationships were a massive thing that everybody was talking about. There's a real challenge in creating standard contractual clauses. They're becoming tricky to negotiate with smaller processes and even some of the bigger processes where they're using their own standard terms and conditions, and they don't necessarily want to change them to meet the requirements of other businesses. One really fantastic thing that came out of that was actually one of the attendees is putting together an FAQ that goes out to processors and explains their position and why they have that position and their security controls and everything else, to try and help people to understand the controller-processor relationship and who's a controller, who's a processor. So that was really, really interesting. We talked a lot about subject access requests. There's a lot of people saying, as I said before, that these things are going to become really, really pertinent, that everybody's going to be getting them. There was talk of certain financial organisations already getting 4,000 to maybe 6,000 requests a year, and they're gearing up for that to increase tenfold, which is just crazy. The key takeaway for me, one that I never really thought about, was actually that I always said that a subject access request has to be done in writing, and has to be received in writing. But the regulation states that you just have to be confident that the individuals identify themselves. So if you have a process over the phone where you identify an individual through data protection checks, then actually if they've passed those checks and you're happy to give them information over the phone, you should also be happy for them to complete a SAR. So actually you could be looking at taking requests over the phone, which creates a challenge in how are we finding out where these requests are coming in from, and how do you manage them. Legitimate interests, one of my favourite topics personally. I think that legitimate interest is a really important and really, really useful tool for organisations, and it always has been. Yes, consent is obviously a good basis for processing, but legitimate interests really allows organisations to operate in a much more fluid and flexible manner. That's not to say that you can do that without respecting the rights and freedoms of an individual, though, and you have to do a balancing test. You have to make sure that you can demonstrate accountability. You have to make sure that you can demonstrate that it's in your legitimate interests and that you're not going against the rights and freedoms of an individual. The Data Protection Network have done a really fantastic paper on legitimate interests. So if you are considering losing legitimate interests, I highly suggest that you read that paper as well, because it is really, really useful. The two other things that we talked about were data protection impact assessments. For most people, this seems to still be a really manual process. There are lots of people out there saying that they've got tools and they've got technology and they've got solutions that can do these impact assessments for you. But as we found out today, there is a real lack of integration from those things. They're all requiring manual input, and you're having to input stuff yourself. It's not pulling stuff from the data maps. It's not pulling stuff from other information sources. So it's actually becoming a really laborious task, and it's a sort of a flashy Excel spreadsheet on the front end. So actually having a manual solution and doing those yourself is still a good idea. And the final thing is breaches. 72 hours is not a long time to report on security incidents, so you need to make sure that your business understands what an incident looks like and understands how to manage it. As I say, I feel like I could talk about this for hours. We've had a good 2-hour discussion on all of these things, so if there is anything in particular that people would like to hear about or people would like to have more focus on, then let me know in the comments or drop me a message, and I can try and do a vlog on those things as well. back at the train station again. Next stop, London. Got a really exciting day lined up for tomorrow. Something really exciting to tell you about tomorrow night as well, but you can all wait until we get there. Okay, so we made it to the OXO 2 Data IQ Top 100. Really pleased to say that I was nominated and made it into the Top 100 this year. Pipped to the post by Elizabeth Denham, who came in at number 1, but let's face it, she probably deserves it. So I'm not gonna grumble about that. Didn't quite make it in the top 10, but everybody not in the top 10 is in the top 11, so I'm going to take that as a win. Page 26, it's going to be on the website as well. Absolutely made up, really am. It's been a really fantastic evening, some really fantastic speeches by people. I'm now going to try and brave the snow, as beautiful as it looks out there tonight, but it's time for me to get home. I've got things to do. I'm really pleased. I don't know what else to say. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said before, if there's anything interesting that you want us to talk about, please let us know and we'll try and blog on that as well. We do have a YouTube channel as well, the Data Protection Diaries, and if you are interested in this sort of stuff and you do enjoy it, please do subscribe to that, and we'll keep making videos. Thanks very much. Bye bye.